right, what's up everybody? We'll go ahead and get started here in just a moment. I want to welcome everyone back to Walks on Wall Street. It is a beautiful but rainy night in Manhattan. As always, if you could hear us and if we are streaming in 1080p, just go ahead and give us a thumbs up in the chat and we will kick this off in a moment. I hope everyone had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. All right, everybody, I think we can get started. I think we've got everyone we need, and the technicals are looking in good shape. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Walks on Wall Street. Today is Monday, July 22nd, 2023. It's about 9:10 p.m. Eastern Time, and we are reporting live directly outside of the GM building, or the General Motors building, on the corner of 5th Avenue and Central Park South. Now, just off to our left is the flagship Apple store, which is actually underground, which is quite cool. Across the street, we have the one and only and iconic Plaza Hotel. And if we turn the camera a little bit further to the north, you're going to see the spire of the Steinway Tower, which is 111 West 57th Street. Now, even further in the distance, right here, that is 1 Central Park West. That is the Trump International Hotel and Tower. And then the other building right here, boom, is one of the most desirable buildings in New York City. It is 15 Central Park West. And obviously, as we all know, this is the Sherry Netherland Hotel. So, I mean, wow. I mean, how, I don't even know where to start, honestly. I honestly don't even know where to start. So if you remember, I tweeted something out. If you're not following us, you can check us out on X platform, formerly known as Twitter, at Walks Wall Street. And I tweeted something out on Friday. And I said, you know what? The powers that be, can they just let us have a weekend, one weekend in the summer, without some ridiculous breaking news, you know, jaw-dropping, heart-stopping news update? Well, it lasted about maybe 12 hours, maybe 10. And then we found out our current president, President Joe Biden, is no longer going to be seeking re-election. And the nominee is probably going to be President Harris. Now, I've been having a lot of conversations with friends, pretty much about how is the market going to react to this, if at all. I have some thoughts. I'm going to keep it strictly about the markets. And to be quite honest, I don't think the market really cares. I think the market, as of Q1, really priced in all of the craziness already. And I truly believe this when I say this. The market was expecting a very, very crazy, chaotic, and ridiculous 2024. And if you read the first edition, or the first issue of our Behind the Street newsletter, the first issue we published for 2024, I kind of said that. I said, definitely watch out in 2024 specifically for crazy political events, and I think the market in and of itself, generally speaking, will probably ignore it for one reason and one reason only. If you go back and do an audit of the Trump administration as it relates to the fiscal side of the house, and then if you do a continual audit of the Biden administration, they're kind of the same in terms of fiscal policy. Right now, I understand, the whole COVID-19 thing, Trump had to spend a lot of money, I get it, but Trump's a big spender. And I think if he gets elected again for this upcoming election, he is going to continue to spend like crazy, which is pretty stimulative to the market. I think that we could understand. And if Biden gets reelected, well, excuse me, that's actually not possible anymore, he dropped out. If Vice President Kamala Harris gets elected, I think you're going to see the same kind of fiscal stimulus. So perhaps they're one and the same, with a few slight differences in terms of tax policy, which we could talk about. Now, earnings season kicked off. We are well underway for earnings season. The major investment banks reported earnings. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo. Pretty good earnings so far. Record net income, investment banking fees are rebounding back in a major way. Mergers and acquisitions are coming back to life. The IPO market is coming back to life, and things seem pretty good. Now, before the weekend, we had American Express report earnings. I wrote a little bit about that today on my Twitter, or the X platform, and earnings were quite robust for American Express. Record revenues, and if you look at the 30, 60, 90-day delinquencies, they're actually still running below trend, and the higher end consumer is spending, and if anything, they're actually accelerating their spend, which is pretty good news. Now, looking ahead, tomorrow I think is going to be the day. That was kind of cool. You just saw the lights of the Plaza Hotel come on. That was kind of cool. Anyway, but tomorrow is Tuesday, and we're going to hear from Tesla. Elon Musk has been in the news, making headlines. His stock has been getting hammered over the last year. We called the bottom in April, and I think they're going to report better than expected earnings. The number one thing that we're going to look out for as it relates to Tesla's earnings tomorrow is the gross margins. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Before we get started here, folks, just a quick announcement, okay? I want you to go ahead and check your email if you haven't already. I did send out our Behind the Street newsletter, which is our free investing newsletter we send out every other Thursday right as the market closes. This is an important issue because we did a deep dive into earnings season. We talked about monetary policy and much more. So if you have not received the newsletter, or if you want to sign up for free, you could type !news or scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email, and it will take you to our Substack, which looks something like this. You can either listen to the audio version or subscribe to the Substack and receive all of our equity research for free. So with that being said, everyone, I'll say hello to the viewers in the chat, and we will get started. And I want to welcome all of you back to New York City. Thanks so much for joining. All right, a little bit of a longer intro, but I think it was warranted with all the craziness going on. I know Alan's to document this. Tom's phone, spare phone is fully charged. Crazy because I just got off the plane. I literally just landed. Sabrina Fair, good to see you. Brad's Brain, Lance, Cruz, Mike G, DC, Joe C, Diana, New England Crypto, TK Porsche, Professor Dario, welcome. Patrice NNB 45, thanks for joining us on this little bit of a dreary, rainy night in Manhattan, but feels almost a little bit more humid than it was in Miami, I guess. DC322 says I'm flying to the West Coast tomorrow. We'll have a safe flight, and hopefully the airports are back to normal. This is a pretty cool shot in the distance. 53 West 53rd Street. It actually looks like something's on fire. Is that just me? Maybe that's just the color of the cloud, but that definitely looks like that thing is on fire. But I think it's just the color of the cloud. Strange. Hey, a Room C, what's going on? We just briefly talked about American Express earnings. Pretty good. I was quite pleased by the report. They knocked it out of the park, and you know, American Express is one of those stocks kind of that we talk about as it relates to a beat and raise earnings report. They beat expectations on both the top and the bottom line, and they raised full year guidance for earnings. Q2 EPS increased 44% to $4.15, or 21% to $4 or to $3.49, excluding that big transaction gain. And American Express has been doing really, really good. Record fee income. Here we have a pretty good shot of Billionaires Row. You see Steinway Tower, 157, and Central Park Tower. All right, let's head downtown. Hey, sunshine after rain, what's up? Good to see you. Brad is here. Yeah, Jafet Perez's CrowdStrike was down 10% again today. Stock is getting absolutely hammered. I think for good reason, right? I mean, just a major outage that caused. And I was even delayed a little bit today. There was still a lot of backlogs at the airports. I was flying out of Miami International Airport. I was supposed to take off at 12. I took off about 2 hours later. We were just kind of sitting on the tarmac, and the airports were absolutely packed and mobbed. So if anyone is traveling either today or tomorrow or the next day, make sure you get to the airports early, because it's still crazy, trust me. This is the Amman, New York. This thing just sold, I think, for $135 million. The owner of Amman rebought his penthouse from some Chinese investor who originally bought it for around $185 million, I believe. Kind of interesting. Shadows' his thoughts on the Snowflake cloud service data leak. No thoughts in particular relating to that, but I think more broad-based. I'll make a comment on the CrowdStrike. I don't even know what to call it, just a catastrophe. Usually you do something called a tiered rollout. So you roll out software updates in batches. Not even very seldom. No, you never just mass push an update to everyone. And the reason why you do a tiered rollout is for that exact reason. Because if there's a bug or something like that in the software that deems the device is inoperable, well, at least it's only on a very small subsegment of devices and not taking down the entire world, quite literally, unfortunately. Wow, this is actually the first time I think I've ever been to Trump Tower since the assassination attempt, and it looks like they have extreme heightened security here. I just noticed this, so it doesn't even look like they're gonna be allowing anyone to drive down 56th Street anymore. Sarah says that's a management issue. TK Porsche's Tom, Southwest Airlines had its third landing safety incident of the year over the weekend. Flew last 5 miles into Tampa at 150, way below the minimums. Cleared the causeway over the bay at 150 feet. It just seems like a lot of things are happening lately that's a little bit concerning. We were speculating this when we were in Miami. This is a pretty good shot of 432 Park Avenue. But one of the things that we were speculating is that I just think people in general are getting very complacent, and we're getting comfortable with mediocrity, I think. And not just, you know, government entities, but, you know, private sector and public sector, everyone. I'm not sure about you guys, but really ever since COVID, and I think what really sparked this trend was the whole work from home thing. And as a little bit of self-reflection, I'll be honest, I've gotten a little lazy since the whole COVID thing. It's just because it's hard to get back into those habits. I'm not saying I'm super lazy, but I think you understand what I'm kind of getting at. It's just, I think people are still in this like COVID funk where they're like kind of checked out. They're not really into the job. They're doing it remote. I don't know. And I think people kind of need to snap out of it, or there needs to be a major catalyst to kind of, you know, get things back on track. So now this is the St. Regis Hotel. Look at that. Yeah, it's strange, like the clouds are a different color. It kind of looks like smoke, but maybe just the contrast between the two. Boston City Limits, what's up? Wow, IPD says you tried Cava in Orlando this weekend for the first time and you loved it. Prices were pretty decent too. Yeah, it's similar to Chipotle prices for sure. Yeah, that's a stock I am actively covering, and I'm pretty much modeling that company based on a little bit of a mix between Chipotle and Wingstop. Hey, Evan Weeks is here. Now, Evan, I want to get your take on what you think happened with this CrowdStrike debacle, because it's very, very strange to me how they could allow something like that to happen. Usually they do tiered rollouts, or they do batch rollouts for software updates. They usually just don't do a mass push to everybody. Anyway, we're now right outside of the University Club. Here you can see a little bit of the inside. It's beautiful in there. Yeah, Shadow says Imagine companies start switching to Linux. Hilarious. Hey, photos from around New York, what's up? Right, the current CTO of CrowdStrike has a history of cutting QA and process safety measures in the quest for savings. Now, do you think anyone's going to get terminated over this? Yes or no? The LT Prods is CrowdStrike covering up for a cyber attack. I mean, my take is that it's very, very difficult to believe that something like that could happen. Because, again, like I said, usually companies do like staged or tiered rollouts. You just don't mass blast to everybody. But Brad says nobody gets fired in 2024. It kind of seems like it. And I think that's pretty dangerous. Sometimes if you set that precedent where, you know, you could do whatever you want, you could make the biggest mistake, you could botch, a major rollout, or you could botch a huge security decal for the former president and nobody's going to get fired or reprimanded. It's just a little, it is a little strange. This is 53 West 53rd. Now this is the mansion that's for sale. This thing is insane. We'll try to get a quick look on the inside. Isn't that nice? I mean, look at those huge spiral staircases in the back. My God, I would love to take a tour through this thing. It's stunning in there. Could you imagine this is physically your house? Yeah, I'm just coming out of my house, no worries, right off of 5th Avenue. Stunning, stunning property. Let me go back to Evan's comment. Evan Weeks says this isn't remotely the first time this has happened, even to CrowdStrike under his leadership. They put an update that bricked Linux machines just last year. NBA Elias says, Tom, curious how lawsuits will affect CrowdStrike's revenue. Well, look, CrowdStrike and Palo Alto Networks were the undisputed leaders in cyber. But here's the thing. When you have something as wide scale as that happen, and I saw it at the airports today, right? I wouldn't say I was directly impacted, but they're still trying to get all the flights in order now. Miami International Airport was a zoo. It was crazy the amount of people, American, Delta, just trying to get their flights rebooked and everything like that. You're definitely going to have some churn, for sure. Elon Musk even came out and he made a post on the X platform saying that he is moving away from CrowdStrike. I actually thought that was the wrong thing to do. You don't kind of put a company, and regardless of what you think, right, of the CTO and whatnot, but, and I'm a huge Elon fan. I've explained this before. Mistakes do happen, okay? I'm not justifying this, but for a person of Elon Musk's stature and his reach to send a tweet or a post out that's going to be seen by millions and millions of people saying, yeah, we're going to move all of our infrastructure away from CrowdStrike, probably not the most responsible thing to be putting out there. Right? Imagine if, like a Tim Cook, every time there was a little malfunction with a Tesla vehicle, which happens more often than not, started to throw a fit and say, these cars are junk, I'm selling my Tesla, and I encourage everybody else to do the same thing. It's like, all right, let's kind of pump the brakes. Let's try to not do that. That's just kind of from my perspective. But I'm on the side where I don't think this was an error, so to speak. Just because it just doesn't happen. You just don't mass blast an update to everyone to all of your customers at once. You do a tiered, systematic rollout to test. So if there's a bug or you do brick devices, unfortunately, it only impacts a certain portion of your customer base and not everybody. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see if there's going to be significant churn there. It's definitely an interesting conversation, and it's definitely not welcoming to hear, particularly going into an election. Especially after everything that happened over the last weekend, people are already on the fritz. So this is just another event that sparks conspiracies, it sparks more fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It happened at probably the worst possible time it could ever happen in America, unfortunately. So, all right, let's cross the street here. It is starting to rain a little bit. This is the AB, Alliance Bernstein. And you also have a very famous hedge fund in here, Fortress Investments. Rocky Rocks' crowd incident was a test, not a malfunction. Keith R says you aren't wrong, but there is also QA environments to do this on. It's true. Ghana says we need full transparency. Jimmy B's contract prevents lawsuits per the Yahoo article this morning. Yeah, but that's all, I mean, that's, you know, I don't know if that could stand up. And I think everyone forgot about that AT&T data breach. Whatever happened with that, by the way? See, here's what is, and then we'll just continue to talk about the cyber threat for just a few more seconds, then we'll move on, I promise. Guys, the news cycle has been so ridiculous. Like, you couldn't have the best Hollywood producer, the best Hollywood writers come up with our news cycle the last 3 weeks. I mean, would everyone agree? So the AT&T breach, which I think is probably the most important thing we should be talking about, it's kind of just been swept under the rug just due to the crazy news flow and the news cycle. So it just feels like there's a lot of laziness going on, right? Whether it's nefarious activity or whether it's just negligence or whether it's just incompetence, it's either a whole mix of those three jumbled in one, or it's just people are getting very lazy. Hey, Hayes Productions, good to see you. Zozo Bob is here, welcome. Let's check out Carnegie Hall for a second. Belmar Beagle says that mansion on 54th is $49.5 million. And I think someone from my office is listing that. I'll check it out. I'll see if I can get access to the inside, and we'll check it out. Hey, Colton Manning, what's up? Happy Monday to you. Photos from around New York says a third of the U.S. citizens' data were breached. Yeah, and according to AT&T, it was only the physical numbers that were exposed, and not the contents of the texts, and not the contents of the phone calls. And I call BS on that. I used to work in telecom for almost my entire career. Hey, what's up, Paul? Good to see you. Now tomorrow, I'm very excited about tomorrow. Anybody know why?
Like this guy, to the point, this guy.
I think we're gonna see some monster volatility tomorrow with our friend Elon Musk. Tesla is up on the earnings chopping block. And in my view, and again, doesn't mean I'm gonna be right, I could be totally wrong, but I think the market has priced in all of the pain to Tesla stock, and I think it bottomed in April. I would say the number one reason that Tesla has been getting absolutely hammered over the last year, and it has been a bloodbath. I'm not trying to, save face for Elon Musk. His stock has been getting hammered. It's turning around, and I think it's going to continue to turn around because the market is always forward-looking by 6 months. These price cuts have already happened. He's already pissed off his customer base, right, that are now, the vehicles are so depreciated. And I don't think that you're gonna have any more price cuts coming down the line. One catalyst that I think is interesting, we talked about lithium. We covered a Wall Street Journal article that outlined how the price of lithium has cratered down 80%. So that is very bullish for an EV auto OEM. So instead of spending, what did lithium get up to, like 80,000 a ton? Let me look that up, let me Google that. What was the all-time high price for lithium? Let me see, I have my phone on me. lithium price per ton. I think it was like $80,000 a ton at one point. I always get sad when I see the Carnegie Deli like that. Hey Clarence, what's up? Clarence is Tom, the Deadpool and Wolverine movie premiere is going on across the street. Really? What, at Carnegie? I'll check it out. But anyway, you get the picture. Lithium prices are coming down. Tesla went through all of those price cuts, and here's another bull catalyst. And this is something we kind of briefly discussed in the newsletter. After the latest CPI report that we got, we heard from Fed Chair Jerome Powell as he sat down at the Economic Club with David Rubenstein. And you can go ahead and watch that conversation. If you just Google in conversation with Fed Chair Jerome Powell and Dave Rubenstein, or you could just scan the QR code on your screen, and I published it in our newsletter. But Fed Chair Jerome Powell turned very, very dovish. I shouldn't say very dovish, but more dovish than he has been throughout the entirety of Q2. And if you look at the CME Fed Watch Tool, or Fed Futures, the market is assigning about a 95% likelihood that we're going to start to get rate cuts starting at the FOMC meeting in September. Now, I don't know, maybe not by much, maybe a 25 basis point rate cut in September, but if you look at the entire chart, right, CME Fed Watch Tool, it shows a high probability of about 200 basis points worth of cuts by middle of the year next year. So by Q2 25. That is very bullish for all automakers, right? Because what is, I mean, for anybody here, I think we actually have a few viewers who work in the auto industry, and those high interest rates has really been killing a lot of deals. I would presume, I don't want to assume, but I mean, it's quite obvious. So as rates come down, financing costs come down, more people are apt to get deals done and buy vehicles. So we'll see the messaging from Elon tomorrow. I think it's going to be interesting. Now coming up on 57th Street, we're walking directly past Carnegie Hall. Here's Alan. Alan says high interest rates are absolutely murdering deals. So I have a question now that we have Alan. For those of you who don't know, Alan works at a dealership, so he's in the know. He talks to customers every day. Would you say, realistically, that there is a backlog of deals that are waiting to get done if that said customer could just have maybe 2 points reduced from the overall rate? Like, I guess a more succinct question is, at what interest rate does deal activity start to boom again, in your opinion, from what you're seeing? Hey, the FDNY is here. Papa Smurf OG, what's up? Thanks for joining us on a misty New York City night. It's a pretty cool shot of Central Park Tower here. And a little bit of 220 Central Park South. We might as well go a little bit further. Go to Central Park South, turn back. Zozo Bob says those Cybertrucks are ugly as hell. But dude, what did I say before? Every time you walk past the Cybertruck, there's at least 10 or 20 people taking photos of it. Regardless if you think it's ugly, it's disgusting, it grabs attention, and attention is money. So Alan says, yep, 100%. Customers have told me themselves they are waiting for rate cuts. Why buy now when in 3 to 6 months we will see rates come down, is what customers are saying to me. So also think about wave 2 of inflation then. So it's like you have this, think of it as like, you ever watched bull riding? Once the gate opens, the bull goes crazy, but the bull is tamed right now because the gate is closed. I think you're going to see the same thing in the real estate market too, because people are modeling these deals. I'm in the real estate business. These higher rates for buyers who need financing are just putting the deals underwater. When they do the math, they're like, probably better for me to rent for a few years and wait for interest rates to come down, because valuations haven't moved that much. We're just starting to see valuations come down a little bit. So that $500,000 home that you could have bought in 2021 with a 3% interest rate is now maybe a $475,000 home, but with a 7% interest rate. So when you do the math, it's like probably more advantageous for me from a financial standpoint to maybe rent for a year or two, let the market kind of neutralize, let prices come down, and let rates come down. So this is the New York Athletic Club here. Hey, Fun Feeds, what's up? Professor says you are totally right about the Cybertruck. I wonder if they are armored. I think you actually can get an armored package of the Cybertruck, I believe. Maybe like the glass is bulletproof or something. Anyway, if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. Here's that logo of the New York Athletic Club again. And since we're here, I might as well take you past the JW Marriott Essex House and we'll talk about some of the renovations. Now, the Essex House is a landmark building. It's absolutely beautiful. One of my favorite Art Deco buildings in the city. If you haven't been here in a long time, I would highly recommend you come back. They've done a complete renovation on the lobby and they've opened up a brand new restaurant. So where the old kind of bar and lounge was last time, they totally gutted the entire thing and they put in this really good steakhouse. It's a little pricey, but it's very, very good. So here you have the main overhang at the Essex House. They're finally starting to take some of the scaffolding down. But the bourbon steak is right here. You got to look at some of the photos on Google Maps, because the dining room is done quite nicely. You can kind of see a little bit of the bar, but the dining room is nice. Everything is like this very rich Art Deco vibe. You can kind of see a little bit of the dining room here. So if you're looking for an interesting steakhouse to go to, that's right on Central Park South, try this one. Bourbon steak inside the lobby of the Essex House. Pretty good. A little pricey, but very good. And very good service, like extremely good service. All the waiters, waitresses are very attentive. And you are in a 5-star hotel. Feels like it's very busy tonight for Monday. Okay, let's head back to Columbus Circle. The LT Prods says, hope your stay in Miami was good. It was amazing. Every time I go back to Miami, I'm just more and more impressed with everything that's going on down there. From a demographic standpoint, it is extremely noticeable
just the sheer amount of people that are still down in South Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale area this time of year. Now, it's usually not dead, but you notice a significant difference. Really, I should say in April, things start to kind of calm down in Miami. The snowbirds kind of return to New York, to Canada, to the Northeast. But the traffic is as busy as it's ever been down there, and it's almost August. This is like the peak off season. The most hot and humid it's ever gonna get is probably from right now until the end of August. And it seems as if it's still peak tourist season, which is very, very bullish for Miami. Now, this kid is renting a room in my property down there, and I was talking to him just before I went back. Really, really nice kid, really smart kid. He's a computer science major at Georgia Tech, and he got a really good internship at Blackstone, which is like the top private equity firm in the world. We talk about Blackstone quite often here on the stream. Steven Schwartzman founded that firm. If you want to read a really good book about private equity in general and how they started Blackstone, you should check out the book What It Takes by Steven Schwartzman. But anyway, I was kind of picking his brain about the rotational program, like the summer analyst program. And he said for this particular department, it's the first year they're having it in Miami, which is pretty impressive. He's working on some like data science project to help the PMs there manage risk in their real estate portfolios. And this is the first summer where that particular internship is happening in Miami, and they're gonna expand. So usually those summer analyst programs, if anyone is, either worked on the street or maybe you're applying to internships, most of those are really in New York, in Chicago, and San Francisco. I'm not saying none of them are in Miami, but the overwhelming majority of those opportunities, they're in New York, they're in Chicago, they're in San Francisco. There's a few in Miami, but now you're really, really starting to see the same level of pay, the same level of opportunities starting in South Florida to compete with New York, and we've never seen that before. This is Maria. This is a Michelin star restaurant. They actually just did a renovation on the whole inside, and they did a really good job on the renovation too. Hayes Productions says Miami is the new hub. I mean, it's definitely getting up there, for sure. Also, some major cities in the Carolinas have received a big influx of major corporate offices and things like that. I think we covered this news, I forget, but Elon Musk is now moving the X offices out of San Francisco, and they're putting their corporate offices into Austin, Texas. They're doing the same thing with SpaceX. So here we are at Columbus Circle. Anyone have any thoughts on that, by the way? What do you think about the staying power of these up-and-coming tech cities like Miami, Austin, Texas? You could probably even throw Houston in the mix. Who thinks that this is a passing fad, or who thinks that this actually has some staying power here? Interested to see the responses. This is the Deutsche Bank Center that we're looking at right here. We'll make one lap around the circle. Hey, Larry Adams says, how true, Tom? I have met some impressive young data scientists from around the world that were in South Florida looking to relocate there. Yeah, and you really, really never, top talent. And again, not to be biased, because I'm from New York, but if we're being honest, most of the top tier 1 talent out of the Ivies, upon graduation, by and large, they go to the Valley, right? Silicon Valley, San Francisco Bay Area. They come to New York City. So it's kind of good that we're seeing a little bit more competition. You know, it kind of keeps these cities on their toes. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. John says, Tom, should we start looking for real estate in Austin? I don't know. I'm not that educated in the Austin market, to be quite honest. I've been to Austin maybe once, actually exactly once. I don't think I would have an edge there. Real estate is very, very specific. Even in New York City, you have subsegments of the market. I would say wherever you're from, you could probably find amazing opportunities because you know your city and you know your neighborhood better than anybody else, right? But I'm not really too sure about the Austin market. I wouldn't even really know where to start. DC says the Austin market has been inflated because everyone from California is relocated there. Yeah, you definitely have this COVID bump. I think more broadly speaking, you'll definitely see a cooling, or at least that's what I as expected. You'll see a cooling in those markets that saw this big pandemic wave. Case in point, Austin, Miami. You'll probably see a little bit of a cooling for sure. Hey, Mark Francis 076, what's up? The Weaver family says a lot of corporate relocations into the Dallas/Fort Worth area in the last few years. Absolutely. Hey, Ed Dunkel, what's up? Good to see you, Ed. Cheers to you. TK Porsche is staying power and a good thing to disperse our most advanced industries to more regions of the country. I never thought about it like that, but that's actually, yeah, probably a pretty net positive. I just think in general, right? It's kind of like that old saying, and I'm going to totally botch the saying, but it's that very classic, hard men make good times make weak men make hard times, and this cycle goes over and over again. You can kind of apply that saying to the major cities like New York, like San Francisco, where they've been so dominant, right? Cities like New York, cities like, just in more broadly, the San Francisco Bay Area has just been more dominant. So people get complacent, politicians get complacent, they don't really focus on quality of life issues because there's no incentive for them to do it because they already have all the top talent, all the major companies there. Does that make sense? But when you start to see a deterioration in the quality of life, then some of these corporations start to look to make a move, and then once they make a move, then the politicians are like, oh shit, excuse my language. They're like, oh crap, we kind of have to get our act together, and then, they kind of like wake up because they've been a little bit lazy. So I think in the long run, this is going to be very, very good for America in general, because you're going to have, as TK Porsche said, a large diversity of talent, and now cities and states competing very, very fiercely for top talent and education. So I think it's very, very good. Hang with Mark Mom, welcome to 15 Central Park West. We are now walking New York City's Upper West Side. Look at how beautiful that view is. Milkman is looking for a house in Florida now. Just sitting back, watching the prices drop, waiting for the right time to buy. Yeah, I think you'll probably be able to score a pretty good deal pretty soon. Cashless companies are staying in income tax-free states like Texas and Florida. That's a good point. We'll make one lap around 15 Central Park West, and then we'll head out. So to kind of piggyback off of what Cash is saying in the chat, there is a distinction, right? So you see all those headlines. Citadel Securities is moving to South Florida, right? Citadel is moving to Miami. Thoma Bravo is moving to Miami. Goldman Sachs is opening up an office in Palm Beach. There's a major difference, okay? And I think this deserves clarification. There's a major difference between relocating the corporate headquarters to Miami and moving all of your employees to Miami, right? Citadel is still going to have a massive presence in the city of Chicago, right? In the state of Illinois. It's just their corporate headquarters is now going to be located in Miami, and they're going to expand there, right? They're going to hire a lot of people, but it doesn't mean they're ripping all of their employees out. I think that's a pretty good clarification. This is the back of 15 Central Park West. It's quite beautiful. Hey, Old Tape Archive, what's up? This is Tom. What is your outlook on Chicago? I'm just not a big fan of Chicago because I don't like the freezing cold winters and the wind. So it's just not for me. So I would never move there. I would never buy property there. But that's just because of personal preference. I have a lot of friends in finance who still live in Chicago. They live on the outskirts in like the wealthy suburbs, and they're saying, yeah, a lot of what they tell me, and again, I don't live in Chicago, I've never lived there, but what my friends tell me is that all of the crime that you see in the media and a lot of these politicians really hammering and showcasing on, apparently it happens in a very specific part of the city on the south side of Chicago. That's where the lion's share of the crime is, right? If you're working in the city, going into the main offices, it's pretty safe. If you're in the suburbs, it's pretty safe. It's very wealthy. But in that, for whatever reason, in that specific part of town, where the crime is absolutely out of control, it gives the rest of the city, the overarching city, a bad rap for crime. That's kind of what I hear from, and my friends are like 65 years old. They were born and raised in Chicago. That's kind of what they're telling me. And by the way, you could apply that same logic everywhere. I mean, you could apply that same logic to every city across America, right? The same thing about New York, the same thing about Miami. Ooh, look at that. I think this is what Clarence was talking about. We're now on Sesame Street, West 63rd Street, and Lincoln Center. You see the Smith, and it looks like the Deadpool Wolverine. Is that what it's called? Deadpool and Wolverine. The premiere. Let's check it out. Might as well, right? Hey, Emmanuel, what's up? This is largest crime is in Midtown. Ghana Scully. This is AI and data centers are big these days. Indeed. Oh, by the way, did anybody read the cover story of Investors Business Daily? There was another fantastic cover story in IBD. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I don't want to give it away. But it was about OpenAI. 2 weeks ago, it was about the big power struggle, literally, not theoretically, for energy output in the United States and globally, about redoing the power grid, investing in nuclear infrastructure, small cell nuclear reactors. But check out the most recent cover story. It's pretty good. It talks about OpenAI, GPT, all that stuff. Specifically Google, right? All right, let's see what we got going on here, everybody. Anyone a big Marvel fan? I'm a pretty big Marvel fan. There's always something going on in the city. Let me zoom in on this so you guys can see. Looks like everyone's waiting for somebody. Let's see if we're allowed to cross. Let's see what they say. I actually shouldn't have crossed. It looks like craziness. And we'll walk uptown. Hey, Mark Summers jumping on late tonight, Tom. Have a good evening. What's up? Yeah, we were just talking about a wide variety of topics. Tesla is up on the earnings chopping block tomorrow, and now we are at the Marvel Studios Deadpool and Wolverine premiere. We talk about a segue. Shannon's Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, and Emma Corrin are at the premiere tonight. Well, I think we've seen Hugh Jackman on the live stream last year when he was doing his musical. Yeah, American Creed 1776. Hilarious. Let's go around to the other side and see what we can see. Looks like there's a big police presence here too. The LT prods should be worried about Google's earnings tomorrow. I don't know about worried, but as we kind of discussed in the newsletter, by the way, check your emails, everybody. I sent out our free investing newsletter. A lot of the indices are very extended. Well, they've come down quite a bit. So that means a lot of these stocks are priced top tick. So if you do have a big miss, these stocks are going to be down heavy. But I don't think we're going to have big misses. Earnings season started off okay with financials, right? JP Morgan Chase reported very good earnings. Discover Financial reported good earnings. Goldman Sachs, great report. And then we heard from American Express. So I think Google will report well. And Tesla is the one I'm watching tomorrow, for sure. But if you guys are interested in all of these financial topics that we talk about each and every night, feel free to scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email, and it'll take you directly to our Substack. We publish all of our equity research every other Thursday at the closing bell, right on our Substack for free, and go ahead and check it out. We'll go up one more block and then we'll make a right by the new Xtel building. Perhaps more broadly though, I think it'd be very good for the market if we have kind of a correction leading up until the craziness of the election. And then once the election nonsense is over, have a really strong, rip-roaring Santa Claus rally into the end of the year. Again, in a perfect world. Alex 411 says, I don't know enough about Tesla. They have to more than electric cars. I see a lot of them on the road, but I don't think it'll work out for them. Well, I think the biggest bull thesis for Tesla is the big data play, right? Not even, put the EV business aside. I see robo-taxis, autonomous, full self-driving, true full self-driving, and big data play. Now, this used to be the CUNY Studios, the City University of New York, like TV studios used to be here. I don't know, what do you guys think about Lincoln Center? You like the neighborhood, not like the neighborhood? Let's make a right here. If you go up 2 more blocks, you'll run right into the Apple store. But we won't go that far up tonight. We'll stay local. You can see the main Empire Hotel sign. The ABC 7 news studio, right adjacent from the brand new Xtel development. 65 West 66th Street is the building. Check it out. It's Xtel's newest development. Pretty much almost right on Central Park West. Zozo Bob's, Tom, have you seen Ivana Trump's townhome for sale? I haven't. I'll check it out though. What street is it on, Bob? Hey, Lisa Davis, what's up? Sarah says Tesla robo-taxis are a pipe dream. I don't know. I think Elon will pull it off. I mean, in some cities you already have Google Waymo and what is the other one? Cruise, is it? That delivers pizzas for Domino's and things like that. I'm very optimistic on true full self-driving. And I also think it's going to make the roads a lot safer. It's going to save a lot of lives. Once we have true full self-driving, the self-driving we have now is not true full self-driving. But once we have the real true FSD, it's gonna sound crazy, but drinking and driving deaths are gonna go to 0. 0. What do you guys think of the facade of the new Xtel building? Hey Shane, thank you so much for your generous donations. This is Tom, the Broadway Theater in Times Square. Well, check it out. Thank you, Shane. Appreciate it. Now, according to the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration, in 2022, 13,524 people died in alcohol-impaired driving traffic deaths. These deaths are all preventable. That's what it says. So think about that. 13,524 people would still be walking amongst us if we had true full self-driving. I mean, what's the value on that? You can't put a valuation on that. I'm really excited for this. If you guys are interested in it, it's 55 West 65th, right? Are we on? 66, excuse me. 55 West 66th. Let's head back down deeper into Midtown. We'll do a little jaywalking. But could you imagine the views over the Upper East Side that this building is going to have? Because you're going to be able to see all of Billionaires Row, all of the Upper East Side, and all of Central Park. Brenton R. Long says total vehicle deaths annually in the US, 40,000. I mean, think about that for a moment. That's crazy. 40,000 people a year. It's terrible. It's terrible, man. Look at this piano in the lobby. Yeah, OY's house, can't wait till they're done, but they are making good progress on it, that they are. Nix, as many experts have said that true full self-driving won't happen in the next 10 years. I think we'll get there before that. Now, it may be difficult, true full self-driving nationwide in the US. I'll say this, in a country like Korea, you may possibly get there in 5 years because it's such a small country, right? I don't really want to say the downside, because it's not a downside, it's just an obstacle, is that the US is so big in terms of landmass. It's huge. A few of my friends in Korea, they say if you order something online, it quite literally can come to your house in 5 to 6 hours, right? Now, you'll probably get that type of service in major cities with Amazon and the like over the next maybe 3 to 5 years, but it's going to be difficult to get that nationwide without building out big, like, fulfillment centers from which you can distribute product from. And there was a good article about Walmart, how they're doing exactly that. The CEO of Walmart also touched on that in the last earnings call. Professor Dario, I believe this is the Italian bakery you were talking about last time, the one that you went to, Rosetta, right on the corner of West 64th Street. I've been here once. It's pretty nice. They usually have good outdoor seating available. Usually this whole row here, they put tables and chairs out. Oh wow, Bob says the place is on East 64th Street. We'll have to check. We'll have to just walk there one night. All right, one more shot at the Deadpool, and then we'll head back. Wow. Hang with Mark, says Tom. Yes, I've had Walmart deliver within the hour to me. Super convenient. Yeah, I mean, I think. Not financial advice, but we've talked about this multiple times. I think Walmart, Amazon, and Costco are your three surefire bets. I think if you have exposure to any of those three, that's something like, you know how Kramer says, don't trade Apple, just own it? I kind of feel the same way about Walmart and Amazon now. Obviously Amazon for its cloud computing business, but you're not going to be able to compete on the convenience factor because Amazon already owns all of the 3PL and logistics infrastructure. And that's very expensive to build out, and it's very expensive to replicate. So I think Amazon is going to be the leader. Obviously they own Whole Foods for same-day delivery for fresh produce and grocery. So Amazon, Walmart, and Costco are probably the big three. Now, help me remember, I don't know if we talked about this, but there was something quite intriguing on Costco's last earnings call. Let me just make sure, we'll let this cab go first. Hey, Robin says, I haven't been on this channel in a while, but didn't you move to Miami? We did. I just touched down at JFK about 6 hours ago. I just came back from Miami. Anyway. Yes, Costco. So an interesting thing about Costco, if you look at their last earnings report, so if you go to Costco's investor relations page, go ahead and download the earnings deck, the earnings slide deck. And their number one fastest growing demographic, signing up for Costco memberships. Does anyone know which demographic they've experienced the fastest growth in? I feel as if we may have talked about this before, but I forget. Melissa 2087, very nice. You're gonna be in Miami September 1st through the 6th. It's a good time to be there. That's kind of when things are just cooling down a little bit. Yeah, Melissa, yeah, Joel PM, you're right. Gen Zers. I mean, that's crazy to me. Gen Zers, people, 28 and under, are buying Costco memberships. It's crazy, but it's true. Emmanuel says Amazon, Costco, BJ's, and Walmart. Now, Sam's Club is under the same umbrella as Walmart, right? This store has really nice furniture, West Elm, but it's extremely, extremely expensive furniture. I always wanted to buy myself a really nice reading chair, kind of like this. Anyone have one of these nice, really, really nice leather sitting / reading chairs in their office? I always wanted to get one, but they're like $1,000, sometimes $1,500, $2,000. Yeah, hang with Mark Mom says perhaps it's all convenience buying. Lemonade says, I just canceled my Sam's Club membership but kept Costco. Any reason why in particular? I know, Bob P says Costco is now doing over $250 billion a year in revenue. Amazing. It's a fantastic business model they have. I always joke around that Costco, BJ's, and the like were the first like SaaS-based businesses. Obviously, it's a joke, right? SaaS, software as a service, subscription as a service, reoccurring revenue. But they make a killing off of those memberships. As a rule of thumb, Wall Street will always assign a higher valuation to companies with reoccurring revenue that are very, very predictable. So oftentimes you'll see a lot of analysts put out, a bear thesis or a negative equity research report on a lot of these software companies, and they'll say, this stock is really overpriced. It's trading at a ridiculous multiple to earnings. It's trading at a ridiculous multiple to sales. This is probably going to be a short. It has, a really, really high price earnings ratio. But you got to understand something. Wall Street pays a premium for premium companies with predictable revenues and business models. Let's cross the street here, maybe see what's going on. Looks like something interesting is going on. Because that makes it very easy to evaluate the company, right? Chances are if you're at a bank, right, and you're an analyst in equity research, you're building a discounted cash flow model and doing a DCF analysis. If company XYZ is, has $100 million in annual reoccurring revenue with a less than 3% churn rate, and they're acquiring 15% of revenue a year, well, that's a very, very scalable and profitable business. And investors are willing to pay a premium for the predictability of revenue. This is the Jazz at Lincoln Center. Hey, 10 Red Bluff, what's up? Good to see you. Kathleen says Costco paid their employees more than Sam's Club / Walmart, and shopping experience / selection is better at Costco. I heard that. Costco employees are paid very, very well. Now, to Kathleen's point, if you pay your employees well, your employees are probably going to be happier and more motivated to work for you because you're treating them fairly, right? You're giving them benefits. I guess it's just the old saying, you get what you pay for, right? Look at that. Beautiful view of Billionaires Row. You have the top of 432 Park. You have Steinway Tower right here. You have 157, 220 Central Park South, and Central Park Tower. Let's go over by the Mandarin Oriental. Now, the last time we were down in Miami, we discussed the brand new development site on Brickell Key, which is going to be the brand new Mandarin Oriental residences on the last buildable lot in Miami. This is the main Mandarin Oriental, New York City. They have a really nice sky lobby here. And if you've ever eaten in the restaurant's really nice. It has very good views overlooking the city. Robin R says, my mother lives at the end of this block. Nice. I used to go to college literally right here. If you just walk down 2 more blocks past Fordham, that was my alma mater. City University in New York. This is a nice neighborhood. You're centrally located to everything. Columbus Circle is the main subway terminal. It's awesome. Let me tie my shoe, hold on. I gotta put you guys down. Now, this right here where you see this Capital One, this used to be a Starbucks and a very rundown building. Now it's brand new condos. When I was a kid going to college, this 1 West 60th Street, this was not good. This is brand new rentals and condos, studios to 4-bedroom apartment rentals here. This was a very dilapidated, nasty building, and there was a Starbucks right in the corner here. Hang with Mark Moms is Mandarin Oriental. Love the restaurant. Has great views of the city. Look at how beautiful the flowers are in the lobby. And they're real flowers too. Same thing at the Park Hyatt. They have these beautiful flower displays. That's also true. Robin R says the scaffolding has been overpowering this block until recently. It's been horrible. And it used to go all the way up until the Target. Now, understandably, right, because they were building this building here.
Also,
BB says, do I remember when Tower Records was on Broadway? I don't think I do, to be honest. I'm not too sure what Tower Records is. I remember when Bad Boy Worldwide was on Broadway, and then they just demolished the building, and Xtel is going to build something with it. Looks like everyone's waiting for something here. We'll head all the way back down to 42nd, or close to it. I always forget that this place exists, this Accent Lounge, or this Ascent Lounge. Because the door is very like hidden away in the facade of the building. Now for a Monday night, there's a hell of a lot going on in the city, right? Premieres, whatever they got going on here. Now, if you're not looking to spend a lot of money and you want a decent place to eat, just go to the 3rd floor and there's a little cafe where you can get coffee, you know, just small bakery items, and you could sit down and have an amazing view overlooking all of Columbus Circle and Billionaires Row. And it's not expensive. You could literally spend $5 if you want. Grab a cup of coffee, sit down. You don't have to pay these astronomical prices, and you get $1 million view. So this is a quick tip. Just go right into the Deutsche Bank Center. Take the escalator to the 3rd tier, to the 3rd, what is it called, mezzanine. It's really nice. All right, should we talk about interest rates real quick? We'll cover that. So in the newsletter I sent out, we briefly discussed a potential bull thesis or a bull catalyst for small cap companies in America, or small cap, you know, Russell 2000, IWM, because the narrative has kind of shifted with the Federal Reserve and Fed Chair Jerome Powell from very, very hawkish and aggressive on being very tight with monetary policy to a little bit more lackadaisical. Now, I would highly recommend you listen to In Conversation with David Rubenstein and Fed Chair Jerome Powell just last week. I included the link to the CNBC conversation in the newsletter. So if you just check your email, you can just click the link to it. And if you go to the CME Group website, /Fed Watch tool. That's going to take you to Fed futures. And there's about a 95% likelihood at the September 2024 FOMC meeting, there's going to be a 25 basis point rate cut. And you're starting to see the IWM, which is the Russell 2000, catch a major bid here. Futures are pricing about 200 basis points worth of cuts by Q2 2025. So there could potentially be a rotation out of large cap tech and into small cap Russell 2000. If you want to read that article, just scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email. But as we kind of talked about earlier in the broadcast when we talked about Tesla, think about what lower interest rates are going to do for the automotive industry in America, for the housing market in America, right? It could potentially spark, right, be the catalyst to spark more deal flow. We spoke to some people in the chat who work at dealerships across the country, and they said their customers are exclusively saying that they're holding out on buying a new car because they assume interest rates are going to come down and they want to get a better deal. You're seeing the same thing in the housing market. So I think the Fed is walking a very, very fine tightrope here, because if we really do see 200 basis points worth of cuts by Q2 of next year, which is literally in a year from now, I don't know. I think we're probably going to get a little bit of a sustained inflationary environment, which is not ideal. But what do you guys think? Who here in the audience thinks that we're not going to get any cuts? Because I'd like to remind the group here, who remembers us doing these live streams at the beginning of the year, right? Very, very end of 2023. The market, right, futures were predicting at least 4 interest rate cuts in 2024. And we collectively were like, no way, not going to happen. There's going to be no cuts. If anything, there could potentially be more hikes. Turns out we were right. Maybe the market's wrong again. Who knows? We'll have to see. We'll have to find out. But it's looking like we'll at least get some cuts. Patrice 2020 says no cuts. Robin R says because markets are in denial. Maybe, it's quite possible. Robin R says in homes, yes, as Fed rate indirectly influences mortgage rates. MBA Elias, Tom, it won't happen, but we need a 50 basis point cut now. Unemployment is worrisome and may get worse. Well, it's true that unemployment ticked up. We're at 4.1% unemployment rate. Now, the last time we saw an unemployment rate above 4% was November of 2021. November 2021, the unemployment rate was 4.1%. Now, to put this into context, that is still historically very low. So the US economy is still robust. That is true. My spin on this whole thing is that the Fed is not stupid, right? The Federal Reserve is looking at all of the same data that we're looking at. And where there's a real kind of black swan possibility is in a lot of these regional banks that are holding large amounts of commercial paper, commercial debt, right? Because the vast majority of that debt was issued when rates were significantly lower. And there's about $2.2 trillion worth of commercial real estate debt that's going to need to be rolled over or refinanced by 2028. And if the Fed continues to hold its Fed funds rate at 5.25% to 5.5%, well, all of that debt is going to have to re-rate at significantly higher rates during a time where you have significant pressure on Class B and Class C office towers all throughout the country. So the Fed's not stupid. I think they'll probably do the market a little bit of a favor to kind of calm the waters here. I think if they cut by 50 basis points, that should allow us to avoid this commercial real estate debacle. And I really do mean that. There's a lot of people on the street right now that are, calling for doom and gloom. They're saying the banks are in a really bad position. That's just not true. I mean, it's been record profits on Wall Street. And if anything, as we've been writing about, 2022 and 2023 were earnings recessions for the big banks. Investment banking activity, mergers and acquisitions, IPOs, equity underwriting down significantly. We've had a V-shaped recovery in investment banking activity. You could just go ahead and look at all the earnings reports. We just heard from JP Chase. We're going to hear from all of the major boutique investment banks. Jefferies is killing it, new all-time record high. So chances are, if you're an investment banker in this environment, you're pretty busy. So I think the cycle is actually reversing course and things are getting a lot better. The problem is that in their held to maturity portfolio, right, securities that are held to maturity, they are experiencing heavy losses in terms of a mark-to-market basis, because it's quite obvious we are coming off of a decade of ZIRP. So maybe the Fed will just lob one up. They'll cut about 50 basis points to kind of calm the waters over the next year, as a lot of this debt needs to be refinanced. That's also a possibility. Let's check out Alwyn Court. Zalby Page says, I think we'll get rate cuts, but it won't be enough to spark any significant buying in the car or real estate market. Connors is planning on being an investment banker after school. Awesome, dude. Come to New York. The Liva family says the rate cut will soaring housing costs. If they cut, then they should do it in small increments. There's considerable lag in the incoming data the Fed uses, particularly as it relates to shelter. That's correct. Shelter is very lagging. Robin R says, but isn't most of the CRE exposure in regional banks? Yes. A lot of regional banks have extreme exposure to commercial real estate. Mark Summers says housing prices are already out of control. Cuts inevitably will create more hype. Well, I think there's two ways to think about this, and I don't know the answer. I mean, obviously no one knows the answer. We're just all speculating. But I was having a conversation with a really good friend of mine, and he explained it to me this way. This was kind of his take on it, and I want to know what you guys think. He said, if we get interest rate cuts, let's say, we get 50 basis points worth of cuts by the end of the year. Most people would say that's going to cause the housing market to go crazy. We're going to get bidding wars again, yada, 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 all that stuff, right? The other alternative is this. There's a lot of would-be sellers on the sidelines that are not listing their properties for sale because they have ridiculously low interest rates, 3%, and sometimes even below 3%. So they're like, I could sell my house at a profit, but then I'd have to go right back out into the market where it's very stiff competition. And if I have to take on debt, it's going to be, 7% or 6.5% to 7% for a 30-year fixed. But if rates come down, that may help more supply come onto the market, because sellers will be more comfortable saying, all right, if I sell this house, maybe I want to downgrade, downsize into something else, and maybe my interest rate, if I move, let's say, some banks have these promotions where they'll buy down a point off your mortgage if you move $1 million over to UBS, if you move $1 million over to JP Chase. So then maybe my 30-year fixed will be 4 3/4 or 5%, right? That's manageable. So I kind of see that argument. I get it. Maybe it's a stretch, maybe it's not. But lower rates could potentially get the market moving, get people listing their properties. Basic supply and demand. The more supply that's on the market, the more option of choice to satiate the demand. Maybe that'll slowly help prices to come down a little bit. We'll see. Cliff says New York City housing is out of control. Well, that you could thank the government for that. This is the Russian tea room. I like the canopy, the overhang here. Now, we do have some good news, though. We do have some very good news for New York City. And it's the following. The old Pfizer building, everybody, on 42nd Street is now going to be the largest office to condominium conversion in the city's history. Now, if you remember correctly, what is the current largest office to condo conversion in New York City's history? It's One Wall Street. That's Harry Mackallow's project, which is now going to be dethroned. The old Pfizer headquarters, Pfizer is now moved to the Hudson Yards, that is going to be office to residential conversion, and much of that's going to be affordable housing, which is good. So the Manhattan Borough President, Mark Levine, I think he's a good guy. I think he's a nice guy. I don't agree with everything he says, but he is trying to put in place legislation that'll allow for more favorable zoning for developers to do these conversion projects, right? By and large, they allow it to go on in Lower Manhattan. But I think this is a step in the right direction. So if you want to watch a quick video on it, if you just Google New York City, Pfizer, condo conversion, you'll be taken right to that link. And that's going to be not only the largest office to residential conversion in the city's history, it's going to be the largest residential it's going to be the largest office to residential conversion in US history, which is pretty cool. We're talking about affordable housing as we're walking down Billionaires Row. Wow, look at these guys. I have so much respect for these guys, particularly the iron workers. Could you imagine? Now, my old office was 1166 Avenue of the Americas, the Marsh McLennan building. There was a neighboring building being built next to us, and you would see the iron workers out in 30-degree temperatures, wind, snow, and these guys would be putting together steel I-beams. It's crazy, these people. Unbelievable respect I have for them. It's unreal. This is the Steinway Tower. 111 West 57th Street. Take one more look at Steinway. Such a unique building. Now, I'm sure some of the residences at 157 are not going to be too happy about this project. That's going to be obstructing some of their eastern views. Guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these streams every day starting at 8:45 Eastern Time. We'll make this right on Avenue of the Americas. This Carnegie House, I think, is going to have some big problems. I think it's a land lease building. 100 West 57th Street. I'm not too sure, don't quote me on that, but I think they're going to have some issues here, if I'm thinking about the right building. I don't want to walk under all the scaffolding. What a weird setup they have here. You got a bike lane and a split traffic lane that goes into two more split traffic lanes. Sozo Bob says Miami is New York, no scaffolding. Well, pretty soon, One Bayfront Plaza, that building is going to be coming down. So I'm sure that is going to be all covered in scaffolding over there. But Zozo Bob, I'm not sure if you saw, Ken Griffin, Citadel, I think they just submitted their blueprints for their new tower on Brickell Avenue. I wonder when they'll have some of the renderings come out. Page's question: should we be considering all the new fast food value menu rollouts as an indicator of prices coming down? Something has prompted these companies to do this. I'm not sure. I mean, I think you're right. More broadly, I think these companies kind of overstepped their boundaries a little bit. And you really saw that with Starbucks. Now, the new CEO of Starbucks said that specifically on the earnings call. What he said was, we're seeing a lot of our would-be repeat customers come to Starbucks less and less and less, and the average ticket size, or the average order size, is shrinking significantly because they've increased prices way too much. And prices are actually coming down. I have a friend at a bank who actually covers Starbucks. And if you look and do a price comparison on some of their coffees, they've actually lowered prices, like by 50 cents, which is pretty significant. But I would say I agree. I mean, I'm not a huge fast food guy, but every so often, you know, if I'm on the road or something, if that's the only option, I've noticed, like, when you used to go to McDonald's as a kid, $10 could get you a whole lot of food. $10 can pretty much get you nothing now at McDonald's. It's kind of crazy. If you take a family of 5 to McDonald's, you can walk out of there spending $50. heard that. I mean, there's so many good coffee shops though, like local coffee shops in Manhattan. The city is more about the experience, right? I think city living, I mean, you don't move to New York City to, you know, stay in your apartment and make your own coffee, right? You move to New York City, most people, right? Because they want to network, they want to grow their careers, they want to experience the city life, go out to eat, experience the restaurants, the culture. That's kind of the allure of the city. Damn, Allen's is a California Big Mac meal is a solid $19. What was it before? Let's see where McDonald's is. We're now coming down by Radio City Music Hall. McDonald's is just trying to break back above the 50-day moving average.
Some level of relief.
Look at how beautiful that looks. I love the neon lights. It kind of reminds me of South Beach. Let's check out Rockefeller Center. Ellen's Last Stand-Up. Whatever happened to Ellen DeGeneres? Is her show still around? Every time we try to showcase it, it flips to that facial recognition shit. This is where you enter to go to the observation deck. Top of the rock. Come on, this is 2022 she went off the air. I feel like she's been on forever. Even ever since I was a kid, I feel like she was on. Here in the distance you can see Jamie Dimon's brand new office tower, 270 Park Avenue. Now, has anyone heard of the rumors of both Jamie Dimon and Larry Fink? For those of you who don't know, Larry Fink is the CEO of BlackRock. Apparently, what they're saying, I read a Wall Street Journal article and a Reuters article that said if Trump wins the election, it's either going to be between Larry Fink or Jamie Dimon for Treasury Secretary. That's what I heard. Mark Summers says you heard it's Jamie Dimon. I heard it Yeah, it's either one of those two. I feel like Jamie Dimon presents better. I mean, obviously Larry Fink's a smart guy, but I just feel like Jamie Dimon's super sharp. I have a lot of respect for Jamie Dimon. He's like an original OG, no-nonsense guy, but I also think he's very fair. I wonder what's going on here. Maybe something for the Olympics? Let's check it out. They finally turned the fountain on here. When I was young at this hour of the night, I would go for a nightcap at the cocktail lounge or an espresso cafe in Greenwich Village. Love the Village. Maybe we'll go there tomorrow night. Yeah, it was something for the Olympics. Team USA. Mark Summers used to work for Jamie Dimon back in the day at Bank One. Very nice. Pretty soon we're going to be making this left and you're going to see the holiday display on Saks Fifth Avenue. They usually never have this fountain on. Go ahead and make this left at St. Patrick's. Looks like they're setting up for something. Ross Johnson, a pleasant Monday evening to you too. Welcome to Rockefeller Center. Maybe we'll get locked in Rockefeller Center today. Joel PMs is appointing a banker as Treasury Secretary would raise potential concerns about a conflict of interest. Well, I think at this point it's a given. But I would actually feel comfortable with the Jamie Dimon as Treasury Secretary, to be honest. At least he's a competent guy, smart guy, very sharp. You know, knows what he's talking about. Lots of experience. I will say this though. I'm not like the biggest Janet Yellen fan per se, but I think people give her too much of a hard time. That's what I'll say. Crossing over by the Olympic Tower. Robin R. says, Tom, you're a residential broker or a commercial? Residential, but if you have any commercial deals that you think could be a good target for office to condo conversion, send me the deals. We're looking to buy. We were going to convert 5 East 59th Street into residential, but we lost out on the foreclosure auction. That's now going to be a jewelry store. A big jeweler from Miami acquired the building right next to the Sherry Netherland Hotel. It's probably the best location ever. It was the old Playboy Club in Manhattan. And it went into foreclosure. There was about $85 million worth of bad debt on the property. Yep, IPV, that's it, Avi & Co. We had all the funds lined up too. St. Thomas Church. But everybody, tomorrow we're going to be right back here live talking about earnings. Tesla, our good friend Elon Musk, is up on the earnings block, and we'll break it down right here. And I'll try to start the live stream from Tribeca. And if we have time, maybe we'll go over to the meatpacking district and check out Little Island, which I think would be cool. All right, everyone, it's getting late. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate you. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe and like the video. And if you want to receive all of our equity research for free, go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email, and you will be subscribed to our Substack. We just sent out our latest report to all of our subscribers, and we are closing in on almost 6,000 readers now. So I appreciate everyone. Thank you for reading. Thank you for sharing our work, and we'll see you tomorrow. Professor Dario, Joseph Hardaway, Hang with Mark Mom, Austin City Limits, Tatted T, Tiago, appreciate you, Patrice, NMB 45, Mark Summers, NBA Elias, TK Porsche, Paul McNeely, Reed Drummond, Doc 7, the Leva family, thank you so much. DM Victor C, Fun Feeds, Robin R, thank you so much. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a happy Tuesday. MMD, appreciate it. Mohammed. All All right, everyone, signing off from New York City. Have a good Tuesday. Take care.